Welcome back to Global Times Pakistan. It would be wrong to say that the world is witnessing the sunrise of the Chinese century. The sun of the Chinese century is rising. This means that the United States, which has remained the sole superpower of the world for the past 40 years, is losing its position. President Xi Jinping has raised the flag of the Chinese century in global politics and economy at a time when America and its allies are divided. The world is wary of the unipolar system, and the Western world is split over defense and economic issues. Against this backdrop, at the Shanghai Conference, the leadership of 26 Eurasian countries, including 4 nuclear powers, Pakistan, India, Russia, and China gathered. President Xi Jinping is sending a clear message to America and the entire Western world that China is using its economy, diplomacy, history, and defense power to expand global influence. President Xi Jinping's defiance of America's unilateral decisions on tariffs had already proven that China is not becoming the second superpower, but has already become one. This has even been confirmed by the American media itself. The famous American business news magazine Forbes declared President Xi Jinping the most powerful person in the world, surpassing Trump and Putin. And the reality is that President Xi Jinping is currently most powerful leader in the world. In history, former US President Roosevelt, British Prime Minister Winston Churchill, Soviet leader Joseph, and French President Charles achieved that status because of their roles in great wars. President Xi Jinping has achieved this position without any major conflict thanks to China's tremendous economic growth, his strong grip on domestic politics, and his rise as a global leader. He has proven true the greatest teaching of the famous Chinese strategist that the supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting. President Xi Jinping is now counted among the most powerful leaders in China's history. He is not only the president of the People's Republic of China, but also the General Secretary of the Communist Party and the Supreme Commander of the People's Liberation Army. In other words, government, party, and military power are all in his hands. This is a status that after Chairman Mao Zedong, only President Xi Jinping has attained. He is the strongest leader in China's history. Xi Jinping has set such a political chessboard that even India, China's historical rival, was forced to come under China's umbrella to escape Trump's tariffs. After the Ukraine war, it was China that brought Russia out of diplomatic isolation and back onto the global stage. The Brookings Institute in the US wrote in its report that today, President Xi Jinping is not surrounded by America's allies, but his global admirers. CNN reported that at the Shanghai Conference, Xi Jinping indirectly criticized America, denouncing bullying practices and presenting China as the new leader of the global governance. He stated, without naming the US, that no country should impose its internal values on others. Xi Jinping is promoting China as a champion of the developing world, while denouncing bullying and double standards. President Xi Jinping presided over a grand military parade in Beijing on the occasion of Victory Day. Leaders from Russia, North Korea, Iran, Myanmar, and many other countries, including Pakistan's Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif, attended this grand parade where China showcased its defense capabilities. During the Shanghai Conference, President Xi Jinping suggested that in World War II, it was China and the Soviet Union that fought the decisive battles, not America or Europe. President Putin repeatedly supported this narrative, emphasizing the role of China and Russia as the true victors of World War II. The New York Times noted that Beijing's military parade will not merely be a defense expo, but a declaration to the world of Xi Jinping's vision to establish a global system independent of American influence. One important point, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi went back without attending the parade. Why? The answer is simple. How could Modi watch the Chinese J-10 fighters and PL-15 missiles, the same weapons Pakistani pilots used only months ago to down Indian Rafale jets during the recent war when Pakistan defeated India? Returning to the theme of the Chinese century, Xi Jinping's foreign policy is built on non-interference, unlike Trump's America First approach. He has embraced joint developments and partnerships. Xi Jinping has also introduced the ideas of Chinese dream to make China a superpower. To achieve this, he launched the Belt and Road Initiative, that is BRI, connecting more than 60 countries through trade and energy projects. By December 2024, $1.17 trillion had already been invested in this initiative. Nearly 14,000 kilometers of international land transport routes are now operational, and the China-Europe Railway Express has operated more than 11,000 train services. In his opening speech at the Shanghai conference, President Xi Jinping, without mentioning America, advocated for a multipolar world where no single power dominates and economic systems are free from America's influence. China's growing global stature is evident in its close ties with Russia, its ironclad brotherhood with Pakistan, strategic links with Muslim countries like Iran and Saudi Arabia, and large-scale investments in Africa and Central Asia. You may recall that in August 2023, it was China, not the Muslim country, that brokered the historic diplomatic reconciliation between Saudi Arabia and Iran. Both countries expressed full confidence in China. This shows that China's diplomacy is not limited to one region but is spreading globally. During the Shanghai conference, Xi Jinping appeared unusually cheerful, smiling, and speaking confidently. His extraordinary body language reflected China's growing self-confidence in its global role. The New York Times also wrote that Xi Jinping turned America's distance from India into an opportunity. He brought together Russia and India, two countries opposed to Trump's tariff policy. Even Prime Minister Modi, who for years leaned on Washington, has now come to Beijing. Modi, once America's sidekick, is now engaging with Xi Jinping and Putin. On the sidelines of the conference, Xi Jinping told Modi that China and India should not be rivals but partners, turning the dance of the dragon and the elephant into reality. Modi also expressed agreement, saying the two countries, with a combined 2.8 billion people, are committed to advancing mutual trust and cooperation. But back in India, the opposition Congress party is questioning Modi. Does normalizing ties with Beijing mean accepting China's support for Pakistan? The most evident outcome of this year's Shanghai conference is that the rise of the Chinese century is not the result of a single sudden event, but a continuous story of growing economic power, rewriting history, capitalizing America's mistakes, strengthening ties with Russia, and even drawing India closer. Xi Jinping is leading China at a time when America's allies are divided. Western leadership is facing questions, and Trump's unpredictability is raising doubts. China is presenting itself as the world's alternative leader, and the world is accepting its leadership with open arms. This is why we can say the sun of the Chinese century is rising. Until next time, Allah Hafiz. Pakistan, हमेशा जिंदाबाद.